Dolovina, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me much pleasure to be here this morning. I'd like to, of course, acknowledge the presence of the chair of the school committee, the head teacher, the assistant head teacher, and all the other teachers, our wonderful students who will be inducted today and having their prefect's investiture ceremony, and all the parents who are here. Firstly, thank you very much for making the adjustments in the timing. We had to adjust to cater for some of the other programs. I'd like to thank you very much for that. This morning is not a time for long speeches. We're here for these young children, for them to be inducted as prefects. My message, of course, will be targeted towards them. And I'd like to say to all those children who are becoming prefects, the most important thing that you can do as prefects is to always speak the truth. You've been given a particular level of responsibility. You have also been asked to look after the students not in your class and also in the school overall. It's very important that you always speak the truth. You always treat everybody alike, treat everybody fairly, even though they may be related to you, or you may live in the same area, or you may go to the same the church or the temple or the mosque. You have to always make sure that you treat everybody equally. And ladies and gentlemen, overall, that's how we can actually progress as a nation, as a country. Because if we are able to see everybody alike, if we do not make the distinction between each other based on divisions such as ethnicity or religion or province or schools we went to, we would have a much better country. And in fact, we would be a lot more stronger as a country. So it's critically important that as a community, we are able to support each other. I mean, this school over here is in a very beautiful setting. You've got the hills on either side. Obviously, the people, the founders of this school had a lot of foresight. They chose this school, this location, because it is actually on an elevated spot. And I'm sure this area never gets flooded. Whenever there's flooding, this place is probably a refuge for people. People would come and use this as an evacuation center. So the school always plays, in particular in the rural areas we've seen, the schools always play a very pivotal role in community bonding and community building. It's not just used for educational purposes, but also for the wider community purposes. And in that respect, it would be very important for all members of the community, including the parents, to ensure that they support the school continuously. I would like to also, seeing that we're here at a school, once again highlight government's commitment to the education sector. As you know, despite the COVID, despite the fact that we had our borders closed for nearly 2 years, where our major revenue earner for the country, which is tourism, a $2 billion industry, we lost that for nearly 2 years. Government revenues went down by half, and we had to be very creative in respect of how we manage the economy. We were able to do so in a very steady manner and starting off on a very good base because our economy had already been growing for 9 years straight before COVID. So we're in a very strong position. When COVID came along, as you know, we had to be able to ensure that we addressed all the issues that faced our people. That meant, firstly, medical security. Everybody had to be looked after medically. We, of course, had some people who had passed away as a result of COVID. But at the moment the vaccines came out, the word vaccine was mentioned, we went and spoke to our development partners. We said we wanted to be ahead of the queue. We wanted to make sure that Fiji, despite being a small country, had access to vaccines. And vaccine, as you know, at one point in time was very highly sought after. The rich countries had the money, they could buy the vaccines, they had large orders, and normally pharmaceutical companies would give orders to those people who would order large numbers. We don't even have 1 million people. We had countries that are 300-400 million people, 1 billion people. So obviously they got ahead of us. But because of the diplomatic efforts of our Prime Minister as Minister of Foreign Affairs, the work that we did through the World Bank, ADB, and various other multilateral agencies with the UN, Fiji was able to access the vaccines the moment it came out. So the Indians actually helped us with the first 100,000 doses of vaccines. Then the Australians made a commitment, and the New Zealanders made a commitment, and then of course the Americans have now participated in that space. So today over 94% of Fijians are fully vaccinated. And I'd like to thank all of you, the parents in particular, and all those adults who are here who've got themselves vaccinated. Because not only have you protected yourself, your family, your community, but as a nation. It is not only about the health aspect. The fact that we actually got ourselves vaccinated, one of the quickest and highest, highly vaccinated countries in the world, in the developing countries, we were able to open up our borders. So when the tourists, when they look at countries now, they see which country is very highly vaccinated. So they see that Fiji is safe. So they feel confident to come to Fiji because they know 94% of the population is vaccinated. And because of you, we are able to open up the borders. So we've got tourists now coming in. The economy is moving along. A lot more tourists are expected to come in the 5 to 6 months. So we had to look after the medical aspect. The other aspect we had to look after was in making sure that those people who became unemployed, that we helped them. So as you know, that those people who are employed in the formal sector, we said they could access the FNPF. If their funds ran out in the general account, the government gave $225 a fortnight. We paid out $185 million through the FNPF scheme. Then, as you know, we had one round of $90. Then we had 2 rounds of $50. Then we had the 2 rounds of $360. Most of you would have got the $360. We paid about $430 million just through those schemes. It meant that people had some form of funding, those who became unemployed. It meant people had money in their pockets to be able to spend. It also meant that the economy kept on moving along, and many people did not fall through the cracks. In fact, very few people fell through the cracks. So government overall spent about $500 million just in terms of assisting people. So people who sell, goods at the market, we paid their market fees. The fishermen who applied for their license, we actually paid for their license fees. Taxi drivers who needed the PSV licenses renewed, we paid for it for them this year. So in this way, we were able to ensure that people's livelihoods were maintained. They had some form of assistance. But more importantly, we ensured that we did not cut back on education. We still continued with the free education. So till today, no parent, despite COVID, has to pay school fees. No parent has to pay for textbooks. Those children who actually, whose parents earn below a particular income level, they don't actually have to pay for bus fares because we subsidize that too. And that's a commitment our Prime Minister has made. That's a commitment this government has made, that we'll continue to ensure that we provide the education facilities. These children very soon, they're in primary school, they'll go into high school. After high school, they'll want to go to university. We have our TELS program, we have our Toppers program. All of this actually ensures that our children have a bright future ahead of themselves, for themselves. Not just for themselves, but for their families too. They're able to do courses and pursue careers that will ensure that they have sustained livelihoods. So ladies and gentlemen, we of course, as a community, as a nation, need to be able to continuously collaborate together. We need to ensure that these policies that are in place will continue. Because in a world of uncertainty at the moment, we've got a war between Russia and Ukraine. Because of pandemic, there's been a lot of supply chain issues. The prices of things have gone up, and we've said no more VAT on 21 items. It's a period that we need to all be able to work together, collaborate, and ensure that the policies continue the way that they are. So getting back to the students, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to encourage the parents. If your child is becoming inducted, getting inducted as a prefect, please support him or her. It's very important that they learn the roles of leadership. We have, I know, a lot of children who, for example, they learn a lot from their teachers. The teachers do guide them. And I'd like to also mention one last word, is that parents, please understand that these teachers, the head teacher, the assistant head teacher, and all the other teachers, they spend probably sometimes more time with your children than you spend time with them. They are with your children from 8 o'clock in the morning till about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So a large proportion of their lives is spent with the teachers. These teachers have a huge influence on their lives. But you as parents also must play a pivotal role to ensure that the values and principles that your children have are the right values and principles. Please spend a little bit of time with them. help them with their homework, encourage them with their homework, encourage them to participate in school events, because that will help them to become a well-rounded individual, and as they grow up and become an adult, they'll contribute as a true Fijian to our nation. Thank you very much for the invitation, ladies and gentlemen, and we look forward to the induction of the prefects. Naka, thank you.